In 1917, after 3 long and exhausting years of World War I, the world was still mired in conflict. Trenches zigzagged across Europe, and the Western Front had become a stalemate soaked in blood and loss. But for Canada, a young nation in search of its identity, a moment of great importance was about to unfold. In northern France, the Canadian Corps was about to take on one of the toughest challenges of the war, capturing Vimy Ridge, a heavily fortified German position that had repelled several attacks by French and British forces. The odds were not in their favor, but no one knew that this battle would become a defining moment for Canada. A moment when a nation, still finding its feet, would step onto the world stage with courage and resolve. So, what allowed the Canadians to succeed where others had failed? How did this brutal battle shape Canada's identity, and why is Vimy Ridge remembered as a turning point for the nation? Stick with us as we dive into the strategy, bravery, and sacrifices behind one of the most remarkable military victories in history. Learn why Vimy Ridge is more than just a battle. It's a symbol of Canada's coming of age. To truly grasp the significance of the Battle of Vimy Ridge, we need to look at the broader context of World War I. By 1917, the war had devolved into a gruesome stalemate, with both sides dug into their trenches along the Western Front. Vimy Ridge, a 7-kilometer stretch of high ground in northern France, was one of the most strategic points on this front. The ridge held immense value, not just because of its height, but because it gave the German army a commanding view of the battlefield. They could see for miles, which made it nearly impossible for Allied forces to advance without being met with devastating losses. The French and British armies had both tried and failed to capture Vimy, paying a heavy price in blood. But it wasn't just about geography. It was about breaking the deadlock. Whoever controlled Vimy Ridge could control the movement of troops and supplies. For the Allies, taking the ridge was crucial to launching future offensives and breaking through the heavily defended German lines. Success here would weaken the Germans across a wider front and open the door for a broader Allied advance. For the Germans, losing Vimy Ridge was unthinkable. It wasn't just a key defensive position, it was a symbol of their strength on the battlefield. They had fortified it with deep trenches, machine gun nests, and heavy artillery, turning it into one of the toughest strongholds along the front. If the Allies could capture Vimy, it would deal a huge blow to German morale and military strategy. The decision to assign the Canadian Corps to take Vimy Ridge wasn't just a matter of tactics. It reflected the growing confidence in the Canadians' abilities. The Canadian Corps, part of the British Expeditionary Force, was earning a reputation as a tough and effective fighting force. Under the leadership of General Sir Julian Byng and Canadian Major General Arthur Currie, the Canadians were tasked with achieving what seemed impossible. But for Canada, this was about more than just military strategy. The nation, still young and barely 50 years old, saw the war as a chance to prove itself. Success at Vimy would show that Canadians could stand shoulder to shoulder with the world's best armies. More importantly, it would be a moment of national pride, one that could help define the identity of a country still finding its place on the global stage. The Canadian Corps had already proven their mettle in previous battles, but the assault on Vimy Ridge demanded something exceptional. This wasn't just a test of strength, it was a test of precision, innovation, and preparation. General Byng, with his careful approach, and Major General Currie, with his thorough planning, introduced several groundbreaking strategies that set the Canadians apart. Curry's mantra was simple: thorough preparation must lead to success. Neglect nothing. For the first time, every soldier was fully briefed on the battle plan, an unusual move in World War I, where soldiers were often given vague orders and expected to follow them without question. The Canadian commanders believed that informed soldiers were stronger soldiers. Detailed maps were handed out, and every company rehearsed its movements to perfection. One of the key innovations was the use of a creeping barrage, a coordinated artillery attack that advanced just ahead of the infantry. The soldiers were trained to move in precise timing with the barrage, a tactic known as the Vimy glide. It required discipline and timing, with the infantry advancing 100 yards every 3 minutes, staying close enough to the barrage for protection, but not so close that they risked being hit by their own artillery. Training for the assault was rigorous. The troops practiced on a full-scale replica of Vimy Ridge, constructed behind Allied lines. Every possible scenario was drilled, from difficult terrain to enemy resistance. Even the smallest details, like the wire cutters needed to breach the German defenses, were planned ahead of time. What made the Canadian Corps stand out was its leadership's attention to detail and its innovative strategies. Nothing was left to chance. Medical units were stationed in key locations for rapid treatment. Engineers had mapped out routes for dealing with difficult terrain, and artillery was meticulously coordinated to provide continuous support. This level of planning and precision was rare in warfare at that time. On the morning of April 9th, 1917, as dawn broke over Vimy Ridge, Canadian artillery unleashed a massive, well-planned barrage on the German positions. This wasn't random shelling, it was a coordinated attack meant to weaken the German defenses before the infantry advanced. As the artillery roared, the Canadian soldiers began their march, moving forward in waves behind the creeping barrage. The weather was brutal, with sleet and snow pelting the soldiers as they pushed up the ridge. But despite the harsh conditions, the Canadians kept their discipline. The Vimy glide worked exactly as planned, with the creeping barrage systematically taking out German machine gun nests and artillery positions, preventing the enemy from mounting a strong defense. The battle was divided into 4 sectors, with each of Canada's 4 divisions responsible for capturing a section of the ridge. On the left, the 1st and 2nd divisions faced the heaviest resistance. German strongholds here were reinforced with concrete bunkers and deep trenches, making progress slow and costly. But through determination and coordinated attacks, these divisions broke through by midday, capturing their objectives. In the center, the 3rd Division advanced toward a high point on the ridge, known as the Pimple. Here, the fighting was fierce. The Germans determined to hold this critical position threw everything they had at the Canadians. But after hours of intense combat, the 3rd Division overran the German defenses, taking control of the Pimple. The 4th Division on the right faced its own challenges, with steep terrain and strong German resistance. But with the help of artillery and the courage of the infantry, they made steady progress. By the end of the first day, the Canadians had achieved a stunning success, capturing most of the ridge and breaking the back of the German defenses. Over the next 2 days, the Canadians consolidated their gains and pushed forward to clear out the remaining German positions. By April 12th, the ridge was fully in Canadian hands. It was a decisive victory, but it came at a cost. Nearly 3,600 Canadian soldiers were killed and over 7,000 were wounded in the 3 days of fighting. The significance of the battle wasn't just in the victory itself, it was in what it represented. For the first time, all 4 Canadian divisions fought together and succeeded where others had failed. The capture of Vimy Ridge became a defining moment in Canadian history, a symbol of courage, determination, and national pride. The Canadian Corps had proven themselves not just to their allies, but to the world. This victory had lasting effects. It boosted Allied morale and weakened German positions on the Western Front. But perhaps most importantly, it changed how Canadians saw themselves. No longer just a small part of the British Empire, Canada had earned its place on the world stage. The Battle of Vimy Ridge marked a turning point, both in the war and for Canada itself. It became a symbol of sacrifice and national pride, shaping the way the country saw itself. Today, the Vimy Memorial stands on the battlefield, honoring the thousands of Canadians who gave their lives in World War I. It's a powerful reminder of the bravery and sacrifice that helped define a nation. If you found this exploration of Vimy Ridge insightful, check out our other lesser-known historical battle. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories of courage, history, and the events that continue to shape the world today. This is History Replay. This day.